Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review of Sad Girls by Lang Liev, and this video here will be completely spoiler free. So if you are thinking about picking up the book but you aren't too sure, please do hang around. Otherwise, if you've already read it or if you just don't really mind getting some spoilers, or maybe you even prefer that, in the description below there will be a link to another video that will be a review including all of these spoilers and a bit more detail on what I thought of this book. So Sad Girls is about a girl called Audrey who tells a lie amongst her friends, which is overheard by one of her friend's siblings, who then tells the friend's mother, and the lie kind of spreads around the area that she lives. And the repercussions of that is one of her friends called Anna dies. So that's the premise of the book. It's pretty heavy. And then the rest of the book, that's kind of the beginning. The rest of the book kind of is the result of the lie, the way that it affects Audrey as she goes through the next kind of few years of her life, from what I understand. I think it's a few years. The novel covers a lot of ground thematically. Not just death, but also grief and love, relationships, family, friendships, anxiety, and there are also quite a few mentions of substance abuse kind of in passing. Which brings me to my general thoughts on the novel, which is that I did not enjoy it. The cover is beautiful. If you're going to pick up a book because of its cover, you would probably be likely to pick this up. It's absolutely beautiful. Another thing that I liked about the book were some of the secondary characters, Audrey's friends, Lucy, Candela, and another character who comes up later in the book called Gabe. They weren't very well fleshed out. They didn't have a lot of substance. They kind of felt a little bit like they were, really all of them were just kind of enabling the development of Audrey and another character, her love interest called Rad, without really having any depth themselves, which was a shame because I felt like there was more to be said about these particular characters. Because I liked them. I think I liked them more than Audrey and Rad. And the final thing that I liked about the book was some of the writing. Not all of it, unfortunately, but there were chunks or even just some lines that were really beautifully written, and I was kind of like, oh, wow, that's gorgeous. But unfortunately, those were kind of few and far between, and there were other moments where it just, not good. And that brings me on to the things that I did not particularly enjoy about this book, which is kind of quite a lot. In general, because it tried to cover so much ground, it didn't give any one thing the depth that it deserved, and that extended to the characters, not just the side characters, but also Audrey and Rad. They just fell flat, basically. It came off as very melodramatic. It was hard to believe the motivations of any of the characters. The relationships were very just strange. I couldn't really connect to anyone, and it didn't feel as though that was on purpose. Sometimes this is written in first person, by the way, and sometimes with books that are written in first person, and you don't feel connected with them because they're unreliable, and you're not too sure where you stand. That didn't happen in this. It just felt kind of like I was taken out of the book because I was kind of like, ugh, like why is this happening? But it just took me out of the narrative completely. And another thing that I felt kind of the same about was the timeline. I assume that it happens over a few years because it doesn't feel as though there's any progression of her character during that time in a kind of significant way. When you think about it, the ages between like 17, 18 and 20 is massive. The amount of changes that you go through in that time, regardless of whether or not you go to college or you go to work whatever, when you finish high school, for most people, there's, a really big change because you're going from, like being a teenager into being an adult, basically. And that just wasn't reflected. It felt as though she stayed the same age the whole time. And it was hard for me to be like, okay, how much time has passed here? Is this, what is happening? And once again, it didn't feel like it was on purpose. It wasn't the kind of, disjunctive sections of time where I know that it's because the character's, psyche is kind of messed up and I'm with that and I'm confused because they're confused. It just felt as though, it was just poor writing. So that is all I have to say about Lang Liev's Sad Girls. Let me know in the comments if you like this kind of one video as spoiler free and one video as a kind of spoiler discussion, because I think this is a way that suits what I have to say about, the novel. And also let me know what you think about the book. I think I was being pretty fair, but maybe you disagree, and if you have some counterpoints, I'd love to hear them, especially over in the my spoilery video, or if you're thinking about picking it up, or maybe you're going to give it a miss this time, please let me know, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!